Good morning. Good Saturday morning to you. It's all cloudy here, but it's not bad. It's not raining right now. It's been raining. We needed rain. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you're having a good morning so far, whenever you're getting around and watching this. I know a lot of you watch it later on Saturdays, and a lot of people don't watch it at all on Saturdays. Thank you very much. Hey, as long as one person's watching, I'm going to keep doing it. So, because you just never know who you're going to reach and who you're going to help out. It's always been my motto. People worry about numbers coming to church, and I'm like, well, if God gives me a message and I share that message and only one person shows up, then it was for that one person because God gave it to me, right? Maybe it was for me too, right? So his word is so amazingly awesome because it always just fits in circumstances, right? And so anyway, so as long as somebody's watching here and there, I'll just keep doing it till I get too tired like I was yesterday. I woke up early and then and was did a couple of things around here and my own devotions and stuff like that, and then I sat down for a minute and went smooth back to sleep. So I just when I did wake up later, I was like, you know what? I just needed to rest. So sorry. So I didn't even announce it or anything. I just didn't show up. So you can fire me anytime you're ready. It's okay. Or you can double my pay. Well, it's zero, so that's all right too. Anyway, so this morning my thoughts have been all over the place. Now that's not unusual for me. If you know me, that's not unusual at all for my thoughts to be everywhere. They come fast, hard, and continuously, right? And most days. And so my thoughts were all over the place this morning. I thought, man, I don't feel like sharing you know sometimes you just don't. I mean, it's all right, but it's just don't feel like sharing. I was supposed to go hiking today, and I just decided, I just something's not right, and things are out of balance, and I need to save the money, so I just decided not to go. So I will pay for Christmas therapy instead, or I got a grandkid with a birthday coming up, so there's better places to put money than for me to take a day off right now when I've got so much to do, right? And the nurse is coming to see about his hand, and I wanted to be here for that too. That was the pivotal moment is when she said she was coming today, and I was like, I got to be here. So anyway, so I'm here instead of not, right? So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about just all these different things, and then I thought, I was like, when we're in circumstances, it's so easy to just think about that circumstance. It's so easy to think about the things that are wrong, the things that are bothering us, the things that are just gnawing on our emotions, the things that make us cry, the things that make us sad, the things, a situation that's difficult. We look at the difficulties or the challenges. But what if we just looked at God? What look at God, and so that started, when we shift our focus off of all the things going on around us, and we start thinking about Him, God is something that does not change. So when our circumstances are changing, they're in a constant state of flux. Our economy's all over the place. We've got wars and rumors of wars, like Jesus said there would be in the end days. We got so many things going on in our world. For me, I got so many things going on in my mind and in my heart. And if I focus on those, I'm going to get under those, and they change. My emotions, I can be way down here and something good happen and I'm way up here and then I'm way back down here. And that's just my makeup. I'm all over the place. My thoughts are all over the place. They change constantly. But if we look at somebody who doesn't change ever, it's almost hard to comprehend. But he says, I am God and I don't change. Now we looked at his attributes that don't change, right? His grace doesn't change toward us. His mercies always new for us. All of our mornings, his mercies are brand new. His love never goes away. His peace is always here. All we got to do is let it rain. We talk about that a lot. And then I started thinking, we read the Bible stories from the perspective of the victim, if that's the right word to use, right? We read Daniel and the lion's den. We don't read when God showed up in the lion's den, right? We don't call it that. We say Daniel in the lion's den. It's a great story. God shows up, the lions don't eat him, the king gets saved, right? All that kind of stuff. And then I thought of another one. I thought of the three Hebrew children that got thrown in the fire. We call it the three Hebrew children getting thrown in the fire, but we don't call it the Son of Man walking with the three Hebrew children in the fire. We tell the story from the perspective of the people, and that's okay. We talk about Hagar and how God found her. We don't say that time when God found Hagar, or the two times God went and found Hagar. Somebody who did in our definitions maybe doesn't, in our thoughts, maybe doesn't even deserve to be found, right? But God went to her twice. We talk about the woman at the well instead of the time Jesus went through Samaria to see the woman at the well, right? We focus on the main human character and kind of throw in God in our story. What if we flipped the script though, and we started looking at the stories from that God who went in there, right? I mean, isn't it if you've ever been in a fiery trial, and don't tell me you haven't been, because I won't believe you, and I'll think you're a liar, and then I won't believe anything ever you tell me again. But if you've ever been in a fiery trial and God showed up, it is life changing. It is mind altering. It is emotional. It's a wow moment. Sometimes there's things in our lives that we just we can't explain how God worked it out. I know, and I can't think of a specific example. Maybe I'll think of one in a second, but I know there's times in my life where I thought of one, but I don't want to share it publicly. But sometimes there's circumstances that we just don't know what to do with, and it's like, God, I don't have an answer. I can't just do this. I can't just do that. This path doesn't make sense. I'm really stuck. And all of a sudden, the circumstances begin to change and we're free. And it wasn't anything we did. We didn't have to hurt anybody's feelings. We didn't have to kill anybody. That's a good thing. We didn't have to, God just took care of us. I've had several circumstances, several situations in my life over my lifetime that I've just known God changed the tide because I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an escape. But it says He always makes a way of escape when we're tempted. And I think I'm just going to be honest here. My greatest temptation of late is just to give up and quit fighting and just say, you know what, this is just tough. Just forget it. But I just can't because He's still my rock. I was reading this psalm earlier today. I wasn't gonna read it, but I am now. Psalm 142. I've got a couple minutes left here. And David is praying. It says when he was in the cave. Now I relate because as a caregiver, I can live in a cave. It seems like nobody cares, nobody's here, nobody's interacting with me in my life, so to speak. And then with working at home, a lot of people during the pandemic, that was one of their problems was they ended up living in a cave, right? So here's David from the cave, and he's so open and real and honest with his emotions. That's what I love about the Psalms because I was brought up that you couldn't do that. But so what are you supposed to do with all these feelings and these thoughts and this angst you've got in your heart? What are you supposed to do with it if you can't share it with God? And I found out God wants it all. He doesn't want me to sit over here on the side in pain, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, and depressed or whatever, and then wait till I feel better to come to Him. He wants it all. He wants to be in that moment with us. And He wants to be in the joyful moments when we get rid of it all too, right? And so here's David in the cave and he's like, I cry out to the Lord with my voice. I'm making my supplication. I pour out my complaint before Him. I'm declaring Him my trouble. That means we can do that. So if you've got something troubling you, you can say, hey God, this is really hard. I don't know what to do with this. I don't even know if you know what to do with this, but I could use a little help from my friends. Anyway, and then he goes on to verse 3 says, when my spirit was overwhelmed, you knew my path. God is always on the path with us. He doesn't say, I'll be here when you get back. Go on. Let me know how. I don't know. Let me know how that goes. I'll be here when you get back. No, He knows our path. You know the way I walk. You know the snares they've set for me. Now, we don't have physical people setting snares, but we do have a real enemy who likes to snare us with our thoughts, with our words, trip us up on our emotions and things like that, right? He's like, there's no one here who acknowledges me. Listen to this. David said, the one who wrote that God is my refuge in Psalm 46 said, refuge has failed me. Are you allowed to say that? Don't tell anybody because it's in the Bible. Don't tell anybody. Refuge has failed me. No one cares for my soul. Poor David. Right? But we feel that way. We just don't think we're allowed to say it, right? And he says, I'm crying to you, Lord. I'm saying, you are my refuge. Refuge has failed me. Physical refuge has failed me. Maybe I don't have the money in the bank I want. Maybe I lost a job. Maybe I have financial problems. Maybe I have relational problems. Maybe my marriage is in the pits, or maybe yeah, I just got married. Whatever, wherever we are, God is still our refuge. Always, right? And he says, attend to my cry. I'm brought very low. He's being real honest with all of his feelings. I'm telling you right now, there is a freedom that comes when you realize you can tell God the truth. He's not like he doesn't know. So if if we don't have to wait to get happy to go to God. We don't have to wait to get sad to go to Him. We can go on either end of that spectrum, right? Well, I can't share God with these deepest, darkest, horrible things I'm thinking and feeling, and this is also raw and real. And oh, go to Him when I feel better. And then when we get to, okay, I'm good. Are you there, God? You still there? Yeah, okay, I'm all right. We or we can hide from Him when we're happy and we don't think about using Him as a refuge. We don't think about running to Him. We're like, I got this. I got this, God. I got this. So we could be on either end of that spectrum. But we got to come back to the part where we can be honest with Him wherever we are, whatever emotions we're processing, whatever thoughts we're trying to process, whatever situation we're in, good, bad, or indifferent, we can bring it all to Him, and we can shift our focus off of good and bad, whatever's going on, to Him, and it totally lightens the burden when we do that. And so David, he's like, I'm brought very low. They're stronger than me. Bring me out and all that. And he's just, this whole psalm is just saying, I don't know what to do, but this stands out. I cried out to you, O Lord. I said, you are my refuge. You are my portion in the land of the living. Hear my cry. We can bring it all to God, but I'm going to be thinking today about these stories if we tell it from God's perspective rather than the person. Because we get we relate to the person. We can't really relate because we're not God, right? We're not God. So, we can't really relate from that perspective. But if we can shift our focus from their circumstances to the God who came into their circumstances, man, so much freedom there. So much peace there because we begin to realize He can walk into my circumstances too. I may not be in a physical den of lions, but I may have people that are using words to fight me, right? You never know. I may not walk into a fiery furnace, but actually thrown into a real fire that's turned up 7 times. But my life can be walking through a fiery trial. I am. I don't know if you are, right? Maybe I'm not out by a well trying to take care of my kid like Hagar was and being cast out from Sarah and Abraham, and fired basically. But at the same time, my soul can be in those dry spots. My soul can be in that alone spot. My soul can be in that loneliness and that hurt and that, in a more, not necessarily physical circumstances, but spiritual or emotional, right? And He can still come find me if I'm the woman at the well and maybe I've messed up my whole life. Sometimes I feel like that a lot. Maybe I've messed up my whole, not in the way she did, don't get me wrong, but maybe I've messed up my whole life. And yet He came to her, and she didn't deserve it by human law standards. Even the disciples said, it says they marveled that He talked with a woman. He wasn't supposed to be in Samaria, and He certainly wasn't supposed to be talking to a woman, and He definitely wasn't supposed to be talking to that woman. Maybe I'm that woman today. And maybe I'm just doing my natural, she was doing a natural daily chore, coming down to the well to get water. And boom, there He was. Look for Him to be in your normal daily stuff today. If she wasn't looking for Him, we don't know if she prayed, God, show me the Messiah. She wasn't praying to find the Messiah. She never in her wildest dreams thought she was going to go get water for the day and run into the Messiah that was going to save the world, right? Hagar was by the well. She never in her wildest dreams thought God was going to come to her, but it says God found Hagar. He can find, if He can find Hagar, the woman at the well, He can walk in the fire with the 3 Hebrew children. He can go into the lion's den with Daniel. I figure He hung out with Joseph all those years in that prison cell when he was in jail for something he didn't do, and yet He clung to a thread of hope. and faith that might not have been any bigger than a mustard seed. If God can do all that, He can be in my circumstances today. And I totally encouraged myself this morning, whether anybody got anything else out of it or not, it's irrelevant because I needed to hear all that today. Anyway, so peace out. Have a great day, you guys, and I'll see you Monday morning.